What up, YouTube? So I wanted to show off my brand new 5-inch FPV quadcopter build. It's a, believe it or not, Blackout Mini H. I picked this frame up a couple years ago when they were liquidating them and selling them for $40 because I thought it would be a cool build. And at the time, I was thinking about, I was flying my Stingy 4S build that I also have documented here on YouTube. And I thought I would piece together a backup quad that I could fly in case I break my Stingy quad. And my very first quad was a Blackout. That's Metal Danny video is what got me into the hobby. I watched a Metal Danny video of them racing in a parking garage with Blackout quads. So I ordered one and I built this one. This one has 6-inch arms on it, but I always flew it with 5-inch propellers. And at the time, I only used biplane propellers. And this thing took a beating. I learned how to fly with this quad. So the fact that it's still together in one piece, it's being held by packaging tape in some areas, but this thing really took a beating. So I thought it would be cool at the time to build up my spare quad to be a Blackout. And then this year when I decided to get back into the hobby and start doing 6S builds, I originally, and am still planning on building a Mr. Steel quad replica, but that's still being held up because it's on back order. It's been on back order for a month and a half, and maybe at the end of the video I'll explain that. But I got tired of waiting, so I remembered that I had this frame, and I had a Betaflight F4 controller that I bought on Black Friday for 15% off. So I decided to piece that together to build a 6S build. So this is going to be, when I get my Mr. Steel build built, that'll be my main flyer, and this will be my backup quad. But for right now, this is what I'm flying. So yeah, as of right now, I think I'm the only one who ever built a Blackout to be 6S. And I browsed YouTube, no one's posted any Blackout videos. There was one guy last year who posted a Blackout video, new build, but he built his Blackout to be era replica of what a Blackout would be when the frames came out brand new. So let me take off the top plate and show you what's underneath the hood. Okay, so underneath the hood here, the controller is a Betaflight F4 controller. And I made my own pigtail for the XT60 connector, and I used 14 gauge wire. I was going in between using 14 gauge or 12 gauge for the lead, and at the time my new 6S batteries weren't in yet. The actual 6S batteries used 12 gauge wiring, so I kind of misjudged that, but that was just a side note I thought I would tell you guys. So Betaflight F4 board. I have a buzzer hooked up here. That's always useful. The ESCs are pretty much the cheapest BL Heli 32 ESCs I could find, and I have them wired in with telemetry, so I can get my voltage reading off and current readings off the ESCs. I don't know what's more accurate, the current reading on the Betaflight F4 board or on the ESCs, but just something to play around with. On a side note, I added a 330 UF capacitor and a TVS diode to the power leads on all 4 of the ESCs. And the 330 UF capacitor is 35 volts, and when they came in, they were a lot bigger than I anticipated. So in hindsight, if I would have done it again, I probably would have put like a 220 in there. Just have a cheap video transmitter from Amazon, cheapest one I could get that had the pigtail on it, an SMA, and then I forget what antenna this is. I'll have it in the description. And I used the Mr. Steel Swift Mini Run Cam, and all these 3D printed parts are custom designed by me. They did have some camera mounts on Thingiverse for the Blackout, because the Blackout was designed for a board camera that sat in there with 0 degrees tilt. But I went and I designed my own mount, and I put it at 25 degrees tilt. And same thing with this mount for the VTX and the mount for the SMA connector. And then I just used a FR Sky XSR receiver, and I did the Immortal L like Mr. Steele does on the back for the wiring. I printed all my 3D printed parts out with PETG black, because that's all I had, but it's real brittle. For the inward parts, it should be fine, but for these bottom parts, I need to print them out in TPU. And for my Cinewoop I'm building, I ordered gray TPU, so I'll probably reprint these bumpers. But they worked, even though they cracked when they got bumped. I just put brand new ones on. It protected the carbon fiber. And another thing is, originally I thought I would get away with using the original nylon spacers and using metal hardware, but it was, I turned it back into the kit both times I crashed it, just like using nylon. And actually it's kind of worse than using nylon screws, because it ended up stripping out the nylon spacers instead of breaking off the screw. So I don't want to deal with that anymore. You know, after applying these newer frames that didn't have that concept. For those who didn't know, the concept for the Blackout back in the day, you know, 6 years ago, was that the spacers and hardware was nylon, so if there was a crash, the nylon would break and save your carbon fiber. And every time you crashed, you would have to have extra nylon screws with you, which at the time, you know, my original Blackout build survived really well because I learned to fly on that, so I really abused that. So at the time, it was a good thing, but now I don't think, besides Blackout, no one else actually implemented that. So that's all underneath the hood. Okay, I just realized that I forgot to tell you what motors I used. I used the Ethics CATS 1750 kV motors.